stop. The average creative professional is making a five-figure mistake that costs them over $10,000 by year's end. 95% of us do it. Every month you delay, you accept letting the IRS chip away at your hard-earned income, money for a new camera, your studio rent, or your future. Stop leaving that cash on the table. Together, let's fix this right now. I'll show you how. Before we dive in, I want to be crystal clear. I'm a financial educator, not a licensed financial advisor. The ideas we talk about here are for educational purposes, to help you build awareness and ask better questions. This isn't personalized financial advice, so please always consult with a qualified professional for your unique situation. Okay, let's get into it. The real reason this mistake is so common isn't about laziness or a lack of knowledge. It stems from a deep-seated conflict that lives inside almost every creative I know, the battle between the artist and the entrepreneur. We're taught to protect the purity of our craft. We see our passion, our photography, our design, our writing, as something sacred, separate from the messy world of commerce. The moment we start thinking about money, invoices, and taxes, it can feel like we're tainting the art. This mindset causes us to mentally separate our creative tools from our business tools. That new lens isn't a business asset, it's a tool for capturing beauty. That subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud isn't a business operating cost, it's just what you need to do your work. By refusing to see the business reality of our creative pursuits, we subconsciously devalue the financial investment required to produce our work. We treat legitimate, necessary expenses like personal hobbies, and in doing so, we willingly hand over thousands of dollars that rightfully belong in our pockets. But what if the solution wasn't about becoming a cold, calculating business person, but about embracing a simple, powerful principle that artists and artisans have used for centuries to sustain their craft? That timeless principle is what I call the principle of creative cost. It's a simple, unshakable truth that governs every act of creation, from a single brushstroke to a feature film. It's the idea that to bring something new into the world, you must first invest and transform something else. Think about it. A potter invests in clay and electricity for the kiln to create a vessel. A musician invests in an instrument and years of practice to create a melody. A graphic designer invests in a powerful computer, sophisticated software, and hours of focused energy to create a brand identity. Nothing comes from nothing. Every beautiful, compelling output you produce is the direct result of a necessary input. These inputs, your tools, your materials, your education, your studio space, are not separate from your art. They are not afterthoughts. They are the very substance of your art, the ingredients required for your creative work to exist at all. Embracing this principle is the absolute foundation of a sustainable creative career. When you mentally separate your art from its costs, you create a dangerous illusion that your work is free to produce. This mindset is what leads to undercharging clients, feeling guilty about buying the gear you need, and eventually, a quiet burnout that drains your passion. Sustainability isn't about becoming obsessed with profit, it's about creating a healthy, self-sustaining cycle where your creative output generates enough value to replenish and even upgrade your creative inputs. It's how you ensure you have the resources and energy to show up and create tomorrow, next month, and 10 years from now. Your art must be able to feed itself. And here's the connection that changes everything. The tax system is fundamentally built on this very principle. When the IRS allows you to write off an expense, they are simply acknowledging the principle of creative cost. They are saying, we recognize that your new camera, your software subscription, and that client lunch were necessary inputs to generate your income. Therefore, we won't tax you on the money you had to invest to make that happen. A write-off isn't a loophole or a trick. It is the tax code's formal recognition of the fundamental reality of your work. I know this can still feel a little abstract, connecting a deep creative truth to something as dry as a tax form. To make this principle tangible, let's use an analogy from a world we all understand intimately: Imagine your total income for the year is a single unedited raw photograph straight from your camera. It contains everything: the brilliant subject you intended to capture, but also the distracting background elements, the awkward shadows, the slight overexposure in the corner. That entire, messy file is your gross income. Now, as a creative, what is the very first thing you do? You take it into the editing suite. You crop out the noise. You adjust the highlights and shadows. You refine the colors. You are subtracting the unnecessary parts of the image to reveal the essential truth and beauty of your subject. This act of subtraction isn't cheating. It's a fundamental part of the artistic process. The final polished image, the one you're proud to display, is the result of this careful refinement. A write-off is the exact same process, just with your finances. The IRS isn't asking you to pay tax on the whole messy raw file of your income. They are only interested in the final polished print, your actual profit. A write-off is simply you cropping out the necessary business expenses, the cost of your gear, software, and studio, to show what your true taxable income actually is. It is the financial equivalent of post-production. The process is identical, subtracting the unnecessary to reveal the essential. So if this is a skill we already master in our creative work, why does applying it to our finances feel so foreign and uncomfortable? It feels uncomfortable because we've been conditioned to see ourselves as one thing: an artist. We romanticize the idea of the creator who is above the messy details of commerce, the one purely focused on the craft. But this identity, while well-intentioned, is a cage. It forces a choice between our passion and our stability, and it quietly tells us that to be a real artist is to struggle. The most profound shift you can make, the one that unlocks everything we've talked about, is internal. It's about gently expanding your identity. You are not just an artist, you are a creative professional. A creative professional isn't a sellout. They are an artist who has taken full ownership of their career. They understand that financial stewardship isn't the enemy of creativity. It's the framework that allows creativity to flourish sustainably. Viewing yourself as a professional reframes every action. Buying a new piece of gear isn't an indulgence, it's a capital investment. Tracking your mileage to a client meeting isn't a chore, it's a standard operating procedure. Claiming a write-off isn't a loophole, it's an essential business function, as fundamental as sending an invoice or backing up your files. It's the simple, powerful act of respecting your work enough to build a stable foundation beneath it. This shift is the entire game. It's moving from being a passenger in your own career to taking the driver's seat. It's the choice to build a practice that doesn't just survive but thrives. So let's put this all together and map out your next steps. So here's the blueprint. A write-off is not a loophole. It is the tax system's way of honoring the real cost of your creativity. It's the financial world acknowledging that your tools, your space, and your education are the essential ingredients of your work. The shift is internal, moving from an artist who struggles to a creative professional who builds. This isn't about becoming a different person. It's about giving your creative work the strong financial foundation it has always deserved. I'm curious, what's one business expense you've hesitated to invest in? Let's discuss it in the comments below. And if this shift resonates with you, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. Together, we're going to keep laying down the tracks for your creative future, one piece of the blueprint at a time.